The galactic Colosseum stretched beyond the horizon, its crystalline walls pulsing with bioluminescent veins that carried the excitement of 1 trillion spectators across dozens of species. In the VIP section, Ambassador Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire adjusted his ceremonial war crown, its plasma edges humming softly as he leaned forward to observe the arena floor. "The human refuses all weaponry," his aide whispered, mandibles clicking nervously. "Even the basic neural disruptor that regulation demands." Kethvar's 6 eyes narrowed as he watched the lone figure standing in the center of the arena. The human, Marcus Chen, according to the roster, wore nothing but simple cloth garments and appeared to be stretching. The ambassador had witnessed thousands of gladiatorial contests across the galaxy, seen warriors wielding everything from molecular blades to gravity hammers. But this was unprecedented. "Perhaps it's a cultural death wish," suggested General Thaxion, his chitinous armor gleaming under the arena lights. "These humans are new to the galactic stage. They may not understand the consequences." The opposing gate iris opened with a wet, organic sound. What emerged made even the battle-hardened general step back from the viewing window. The Vorthak warbeast stood 12 feet tall, its exoskeleton gleaming like polished obsidian. Razor-sharp appendages sprouted from every joint, and its maw split open to reveal rows of serrated teeth designed to shred both flesh and metal. Bioengineered for millennia by the militaristic Vorthak collective, these creatures had never known defeat in single combat. The crowd's roar was deafening, a cacophony of screeches, howls, and subsonic rumbles from species spanning the electromagnetic spectrum. Betting pools fluctuated wildly as the disparity became apparent. The smart money was on the human, lasting less than 30 seconds. Marcus Chen appeared utterly calm. He raised one hand toward the viewing section and performed what appeared to be a greeting gesture. Then impossibly he smiled. The warbeast charged. What happened next would be analyzed frame by frame for decades across galactic military academies. As the creature's primary striking appendage, a bone spike capable of piercing starship hull plating, thrust toward Chen's chest, the human simply wasn't there. He had moved with such fluid precision that multiple camera angles were required to track the motion. The spike passed through empty air as Chen stepped aside with millimeters to spare. But that was just the beginning. The human's hand, moving faster than most species could perceive, struck the creature's extended appendage at a specific point. The sound was like a crystal bell shattering. The warbeast's limb, genetically engineered to withstand plasma fire, simply snapped. The arena fell silent. Chen moved like water, like wind, like something that belonged to physics but transcended biology. Each movement was economical, precise, devastating. When the creature swung its massive tail, Chen redirected the motion with a touch that sent the beast tumbling into the arena wall. When it tried to bite, he struck nerve clusters that its own creators didn't know existed, causing temporary paralysis. Ambassador Kethvar found himself standing, all 6 eyes focused on the impossible display below. "What form of technology is this?" he demanded. "What weapon?" His aide's mandibles clattered as he consulted multiple databases. "Sir, our sensors detect no energy signatures, no technological augmentation, no external devices of any kind. The human appears to be using only his biological form." "Impossible. Biological organisms cannot." Chen caught the warbeast's next strike and performed something that defied the fundamental understanding of combat across the galaxy. Using the creature's own momentum and mass, he executed a throw that sent the 12-foot monster spinning through the air. The impact crater where it landed would remain visible for months. The warbeast tried to rise, then collapsed. Not dead. Chen had been precise about that, but completely incapacitated. Every major motor function temporarily disrupted through pressure point manipulation that suggested an understanding of universal neurological principles that surpassed galactic medical science. The human walked to the center of the arena and bowed formally to the viewing section. Then he did something that broke every protocol, every precedent, every rule he began to teach. "This is Kung Fu." His voice carried clearly through the arena's acoustics as he demonstrated a simple form. "My species calls it martial arts. We developed these techniques over thousands of years, not for war, but for understanding ourselves. The body as weapon, yes, but more. The mind as tool, the spirit as forge." He moved through a basic kata, each movement flowing into the next. "We learned that the strongest material is not the hardest, but the most adaptable. Water defeats stone not through hardness, but through persistence and understanding. General Thaxion's compound eyes tracked every movement. He's demonstrating systematic combat principles that our entire military doctrine never considered. These are techniques developed by evolution, not engineering, Kethvar breathed. They turned their own bodies into adaptive weapons through training and understanding, rather than modification or technology. Chen continued his demonstration, showing how leverage and timing could overcome raw strength, how knowledge of anatomy could disable opponents without permanent harm, how mental discipline could maintain clarity under extreme stress. Each principle he illustrated challenged fundamental assumptions about combat that had stood for millennia. "We call ourselves the human species," Chen said, completing his form. "We are not the strongest, nor the fastest, nor the most naturally armored among Earth's creatures. But we learn to think, to adapt, to turn our weaknesses into strengths. Every challenge becomes a teacher. Every limitation becomes innovation." The crowd erupted into something unprecedented in Colosseum history, spontaneous applause from species that had never agreed on anything. The war beast, though defeated, was unharmed and would recover fully. Chen had demonstrated complete dominance while exercising perfect restraint. Ambassador Kethvar activated his diplomatic channels immediately. Within hours, requests flooded in from across the galaxy, not for human weapons or technology, but for human teachers. Military academies wanted to study their principles. Philosophers sought to understand their mindset. Scientists marveled at their approach to problem-solving. As Chen exited the arena, he paused at the gate and looked up at the viewing section one final time. His smile suggested he knew exactly what questions his performance had raised. The galaxy had encountered many species with superior technology, advanced biology, or overwhelming firepower. But they had never met a species that had weaponized wisdom itself, that had turned the pursuit of knowledge into the ultimate tool of adaptation. In the following months, human martial arts academies would be established on dozens of worlds. The term weapon itself would undergo philosophical redefinition, and the Galactic Colosseum would institute a new classification system because they finally understood that some advantages couldn't be confiscated at the door, they could only be learned.